Hey friends, so we are back for our second episode of Katherine's Quarters for 2021. I swear it feels like we've been at 2021 for like 1,000 years, but it's only been like 2.5 weeks. Neither here nor there. The NFL Conference Championships are set. So excited. We will definitely talk about what those matchups will look like this week and do a little recap of what the divisional round was like this past weekend. And you know, the NBA season got off to a little bit of a rocky COVID start. There was all kinds of injuries and guys weren't playing, game time decisions, who knows what anybody's doing. Now, let's pray that it's leveling out. There's a lot of stuff happening in the NBA, a lot of good games this past couple of weeks. I mean, it's been like 15 games. And you know, we can't make any huge predictions, but there's some stuff we definitely have to talk about, and you don't want to miss the culture segment for today on this good inauguration day. Let's get right down to it. Now, you know we're gonna start with the NFL. Let's start with the AFC. This past weekend, we saw the Ravens take on the Bills and the Browns take on the Chiefs. Now, I don't really think that there's a runaway favorite, even though we are talking about the Super Bowl reigning champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, and that heavy-duty offense that they have in Buffalo. I mean, let's be clear. The Buffalo Bills played Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, and the game wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great for the Ravens, right? Like they really needed somebody to step up. It just wasn't good enough to beat the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills were just clicking. Stephon Diggs had an amazing game, 8 catches for like over 100 yards. I mean, Josh Allen looked so good, gave you so many reasons to understand why he is one of the top 5 quarterbacks. And we saw some really weird things from the Baltimore team, right? Like, I mean, the defense wasn't as stout as you thought they would be. And the passing game, although we give Lamar a lot of crap about his ability to pass or lack thereof, the guys weren't getting it done. And then you see Justin Tucker miss a field goal, and that happens like once every 17,000 years. I mean, he's literally one of the best kickers in the NFL. So there was a lot that went wrong for them that day. And then Lamar Jackson goes out with a concussion, and so we have to get Tyler Huntley to come in and play. Honestly, didn't even know who the kid was, but Huntley just couldn't get it done, and unfortunately, the Bills will now move on to play the Chiefs. So the Kansas City Chiefs played the Cleveland Browns this past weekend, and like I said, I know we're talking about the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, but they almost got beat. Here's the thing. Again, the Chiefs are an amazing football team. We know that Patrick Mahomes is that man. He'll always get it done through the air. I mean, he has too many weapons on offense not to be able to get it done through the air. So the Browns had over 100 yards rushing in the game, but it just didn't seem that way. Like, I had to look at the stats to even notice that, because it just felt like they couldn't get anything started. And like I said, the Browns almost came back. Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield threw interceptions. Both teams were bad on third down. It was just weird. And then there was that crazy almost touchdown that turned into a fumble that was almost a touchback. It was just all over the place, right? And then of course, in the latter part of the game, Chad Haney has to come in for Patrick Mahomes. And when Chad Haney comes into the game, there's still so much time. So of course, Browns fans are thinking, oh my gosh, we might be able to make it to the AFC Championship. It's been so long since we made it to the playoffs. Like, if we make it to the AFC Championship, what a storied run this would be. And then Chad Haney comes in, and there's so much time left. And then he throws an interception. So you're like, oh my gosh. As a Browns fan, I'm sure Browns fans were like, this is our time. A couple of plays later, obviously the Browns don't get a touchdown. A couple plays later, Chad Haney on 3rd and 14, they go for it. He runs and literally dives for the first down. And this is like under 2 minutes left, and it was all she wrote. And now we have to say that Chad Haney saved the reigning Super Bowl champs. It'll be interesting. But this weekend, we're going to watch the Bills take on the Chiefs and see what that looks like. I mean, they're both top 5 quarterbacks in the league with over 4,500 yards passing. It's just going to look good. I'm pretty sure Patrick Mahomes has 38 touchdowns on the season to Josh Allen's 37 touchdowns on the season. Neither has more than 10 interceptions. It's just, this is going to be a really fun game to watch, and I'm excited. So then in the NFC, we watched the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take on the New Orleans Saints. And then, of course, we have watched the Los Angeles Rams take on the Packers. That sounds really shady, but I'll explain. In the Bucks Saints game, it was just a battle of two older gentlemen. I want to say it was a good game, but it really wasn't that good of a game. I just wasn't as engaged in that game as I wanted to be. Even playing fantasy, it was just not exciting enough for me. And a lot of people were saying that this might have been Drew Brees' last game, and then we see at the end of the game after the Saints lose that Drew Brees and Tom Brady were on the field chatting it up, and Tom Brady's playing with Drew Brees' kids and just kicking it. It was interesting to see because a lot of times guys will do that if they know or there's an inkling that they're not going to be in that same place ever again, especially if you spent as much time and as much meaningful time with a team as Drew Brees has spent with the New Orleans Saints. So if that was the way that he goes out, it's kind of unfortunate. He really didn't play well at all, and it was just not great. But Tom Brady, I mean, it's just, and the way that defense was playing, mind you, Devin White had 10 solo tackles and an interception. I'm pretty sure they intercepted Drew Brees 4 times, but Devin White was all over it. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. It's hard to bet against Tom Brady. But again, the Packers-Rams game was another one that I was hoping would be more exciting than it was. I am just not high on the Rams. I don't know what it is. Like, the Rams defense didn't look that good. It is Aaron Rodgers, so, and Devontae Adams and MVS and Robert Tonyan and just all of these guys. Let me not forget Aaron Jones. I know Jared Goff has had surgery in the last month and whatever, but he came out last week and he's throwing the ball all down the field. I mean, even this past weekend, he was getting the ball to Robert Woods. It wasn't exciting to watch. I'm happy for Aaron Rodgers. I really hope the Packers represent the NFC when it comes to the Super Bowl. This is gonna be a great battle. And not to mention, this battle between Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, everybody likes to have the conversation about who is the GOAT. Aaron Rodgers hasn't been to a Super Bowl since I was a babe. Tom Brady is a regular at the Super Bowl. I just wanna appreciate the greatness that the both of them have, because Aaron Rodgers is phenomenal. Like, watching that man throw the ball and like, he knows it's going where it's going. I don't even think receivers oftentimes know that the ball is coming to them, and then somehow it just ends up in their hands. In all honesty, that's how I feel like Aaron Rodgers throws the ball. But Buccaneers, Packers, and they're gonna be playing at Lambeau Field. That's gonna be the best game of the weekend. Sorry, not sorry. Hate to hate on the AFC. It's how it goes. It's gonna be a great weekend for football. I really hope I get to watch some of it. It's gonna be electric, and I'm so excited. Can you tell? So to start the basketball season, I was very concerned. Mind you, we're 15 games in and there's still a lot of basketball to be played. I'm really hoping they have it figured out with this COVID thing. But first thing we're gonna talk about, we have seen a few episodes of the James Harden experiment in Brooklyn. And now that Kyrie is back, we will get to that update because I literally got the update to my phone as I'm filming this. The last 2 games without Kyrie, right? So James Harden arrives in Brooklyn, him and KD excited to play together because of course KD's been out. Let's be clear, Kevin Durant is back, people. And it's just fun to have Kevin Durant back. Torn Achilles, huh? James Harden and Kevin Durant, like, it wasn't a 10-year span that has gone by since the OKC days where they played together. They just look good. And mind you, like, it was 2 games, so of course, like, there's still gonna be like chemistry building because also Kyrie had to come back. We'll see how it works with Kyrie. Seems like the first game not so hot. We're still 15 games into the season. Everybody's gonna get a little more comfortable and players are gonna stop violating COVID rules, hopefully, so everybody can all play. Like I said last week, if the 3 of them can figure this thing out, we are in for a very sweet treat. Brooklyn Nets Big 3 debuted tonight, and they lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers in double overtime. I do like double overtime though. Stressful, but I do like double overtime. Also on a night that the Celtics lose their 2nd game this week to the 76ers after they lost to the Knicks. They got blown out by the Knicks, to be clear. It was like 100 something to like 72. I can't even remember the score because I'm trying to forget it, so it was so bad. The lone Splash Brother is back, guys, and that makes me very happy to watch too. And they beat the Lakers the other night, so that's exciting. I mean, they have the new kid, James Wiseman, that they got out of the draft this past year, and you know, if the Warriors can figure out a way to beat the Lakers, even though LeBron and AD did not have good games as a unit, if the Warriors can figure out how to beat the Lakers and they can continue that stretch, I'm excited for them to be in the playoffs. It's ambitious. Again, 15 games into the season, ambitious. But 15 games into the season, we want to talk about the NBA. Everything's ambitious at this point. I mean, the Knicks just beat the Celtics, and the Celtics were a top seed at the top of this morning. So anything is possible. Cue Kevin Garnett.
Anything's possible!
Now all we need the Warriors to do is to get Clay to figure out who Kevin Durant's trainer, physical therapist, whoever helped him make his comeback. If they get on the phone, we will have the Splash Brothers back in no time. And then the NBA will be even more exciting. Huh. But I say all that to say that there's a lot of exciting things happening in basketball. I mean, if you just look at the current standings, there's teams that you think are gonna drop off, and then there's teams that you know are gonna catch fire at some point. There is a lot to still happen in this NBA season, and I cannot wait to see how it goes down. So I do want to talk a little bit about Kyrie. In my last vlog, we talked about how Kyrie was kind of missing in action, not showing up to games, deciding that he's not going to play, not really telling anybody, and it was all speculation at the time because Kyrie wasn't saying anything. Kyrie finally spoke out, obviously before the game that he played today, and Kyrie spoke out, and the way he approached the interview was very weird. And this is why I say Kyrie is a very immature individual. And it's not a slight on his basketball skills, but it's just he's immature. He does not handle himself in a professional manner. I mean, he came to the first interview where he knows he's going to be spoken to by the media. He knows what questions they're going to ask him. I mean, aside from the James Harden trade, the biggest news is that he wasn't around. He comes in and he just looks so dejected. Like, he looks like he already doesn't want to answer any questions. And it's like, automatically you're giving off this vibe of like, I don't owe anybody anything. And that's fine had you said it a week ago when you really didn't owe anybody anything. And he gets on there and he says something like, you know, I needed to take some time for myself and I don't really owe anybody anything. And I had a conversation with my teammates and with, you know, the people who I needed to have conversations with. And it's like, all of that is well and good. Had he said a week ago, like, he needs to take some time away, it would have been fine. We would have not been talking about it. We wouldn't have been asking about the fact that, like, what were you doing that whole time? We wouldn't have been looking at video of you like hanging out, having a good time and questioning like, is that why you can't play basketball? There is a level of transparency that you kind of have to have when you sign up to be in the limelight. And to be clear, like, you do sign up to be in the limelight. You don't have to play for professional basketball. You want to play professional basketball. I didn't know anybody, an explanation and blah, blah, blah. I've had these conversations with my teammates. That's great that you've had them now, but like for the last week, Steve Nash has been sitting around being like, I don't know if Kyrie's coming back. Y'all will know when I know. People understand if you have to take some time. This has been a crazy year and a month, right? Like, it's been weird, to say the least. Living through a pandemic and playing basketball through a pandemic, like, this is uncharted territory for everyone in the country, for real. And so it's understood if you need to take some time. Now, if he told all of management and he's just, you know, feeding us the BS that, you know, he came back and had the conversation with everybody, then fine, whatever. But again, like, he made it seem like he had the conversation when he got back, like after. It's just, it's weird. It's a weird way to handle it. You still have to understand that you have obligations to certain things. When you sign that contract, you have obligations. So I don't understand this whole like, you guys are making this a bigger deal. I talked to the people that I need to talk to. Everything is fine. I'm happy to be back. No, I don't care about health and safety protocols. Like, we have come to our culture segment, and today is a historic one, and I'm so excited about it if you can't tell already. I feel like in my short life, I have lived through a lot of historic moments, whether good or bad, and it's just so nice to have a good one at this point in time in life after the year that 2020 was and the beginning of 2021 was trying to become. Today, President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris were sworn into office, and it was just so beautiful to see. We know 2 weeks ago, there was that domestic terrorist attack on the US Capitol. And while the systems are not all great, and we definitely need to revise the way that we do a lot of things, there's still some traditions that are important. There's still some decorum that we have to have. And today was a testament to that. If you didn't watch the inauguration, literally see where you can find all of the snippets of it, because it was so good. It was so good. I mean, and the fact that they had it at the US Capitol after all of the concerns about security and, well, should they make it virtual and all that, like, to overcome all of that in the right way, I literally cried during it. And then to watch Vice President Kamala Harris put her hand on that Bible and know that she's the first woman of color to put her hand on that Bible and be sworn into office as a vice president. It moves you, and it was beautiful. And she looked fabulous, of course, because she's bad. Everybody thought she was gonna wear Chucks, and she didn't. But I wouldn't be mad if she did. I'm an avid wearer of Chuck Taylors. I mean, there was just so many epic speeches and performances. There was a very warm feeling that I got from listening and hearing. I mean, Joe Biden's speech was on point, and it was just so on tone. But if I am to be very clear, I think everybody should watch everything that happened at the inauguration. Just watch all of the inauguration content. But the first thing you need to do is go and listen to Amanda Gorman's poem. I met her a few years back at an event that I was doing for work, and she's so sweet. Mind you, she's 22 years old, the youngest inauguration speaker in the history, but she is so eloquent with her words. She's a poet. Obviously, she was taking the time to write this, and then January 6th happened, and I believe this was reported by NPR. She sat down and wrote the rest of it. I cannot say enough about how much I loved that. What a peaceful moment that we all just got to experience, and I hope everybody else felt that way. I'm really glad I did. So make sure you take the time out to watch it. Even if you only watch snippets of it, watch it. You just have to go back and listen to Amanda Gorman, because there's no better way to sum it up, period. All right, friends, that is it for this episode of Catherine's Quarters. Thank you so much for joining me. Now you know, if you haven't done so already, you need to make sure that you hit that subscribe button, and then make sure you follow me on Twitter, because we have championship games that tell us who's going to the Super Bowl happening this weekend, so you know I'm gonna be tweeting you about it. And obviously, there's basketball all the time at any time, so you know we'll be talking about that as well. Check you guys later.